As the host of Real Story on Fox News, Gretchen Carlson interviews newsmakers and tackles the top headlines of the day. Today, she's getting real on a more personal story, her own. Gretchen Carlson captivated the country as Miss America in 1989. Today, she's captivating audiences as an award-winning journalist and host of The Real Story on Fox News. But things didn't always come easy for Gretchen. In her book, Getting Real, she shares lessons from her early days as a reporter and how she overcame her childhood insecurities through courage and perseverance. Gretchen Carlson is with us now, and Gretchen, it's so great to have you here.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And you and I have known each other for so long because we also share the Miss America legacy together.
But we don't often get to just visit with each other and sit comfortably together and talk unless we go back to Atlantic City or wherever. So nice to have you here.
Thank you.
You have taken it upon yourself to battle the stigma that goes with not just being Miss America, but being blonde and being a first. I mean, you moved into the news arena when there weren't a lot of women in news, but go back to the very beginning. I mean, here you are, you're a well-studied classical violinist, you graduated from Stanford, studied at Oxford, and still you've had to contend over the years with the whole dumb blonde thing. How is that possible?
I know, it's amazing. It happened right after becoming Miss America, actually. It's almost as if your entire resume just evaporates, and suddenly it's just a lot easier to call you a bimbo. And that came as a real shock to me, Terry, to be honest with you, because I grew up in Minnesota, and I know you understand the Midwest as well.
Wisconsin girl,
and the Minnesota nice thing is so true, and so the fact that people were just tearing me down just because was really shocking. And my dad gave me some of life's greatest advice at that time. And everyone loves my dad, so it meant even more coming from him. He said, you know what, Gretchen, no matter how hard you try, you are never going to get everyone to like you. So stop trying with those that you can't change and do your best to change as many as you can. I think about that every day.
That's a life lesson for all of us, isn't it? You know, I know that people say to you, you talk about this in the book, and I think this is true for many people who've had visible success in their lives. You know, you're so lucky to have gotten the breaks that you've gotten. Truth is, behind all that you've accomplished is a tremendous amount of hard work.
Yeah, it comes from the Protestant work ethic. My grandfather...
Minnesota thing again.
Yeah, my grandfather was a Lutheran minister in town, and so I was so fortunate to have faith as my foundation in my life. He also taught me perseverance. He started our church at 800 members, and when he left, there were 8,500.
Wow.
So I learned the never give up attitude ever, and work hard. And my mom, when she would put me to bed at night and say my prayers, every night she also said, you know, Gretchen, you can be anything you want to be.
Wow.
And so I built my self-esteem from the inside out, and it's such an important lesson for our young people today.
And sometimes, Gretchen, those lessons come from struggling through what other people put in front of you. I think of, you talk in the book about the fact that at one point in your life, as a very young girl, you dealt with weight issues.
Oh, yeah.
But it changes the way you see yourself. And then, was it your brothers who used to call you Blimpo? When, I mean, I look at you now, you're about as big as a minute, and I think, how's that possible?
Oh, no, and I still struggle with it today. I've just learned how to deal with it a little bit better. I'm 100% Swedish. I come from good Swedish stock.
Meatballs.
I mean, my mom used to say, look at our great-grandmother's legs. They start here, and they go like this all the way down. There's no indentation. So that's what I was born with genetically. I was a fat kid. I had a lot of taunts and a lot of teasing, but here's the lesson in it. I built me from my soul.
Yeah.
And that is so important. In a way, it was a blessing that I was fat. And right after I won Miss America, I said in the press conference, as an inspiration to young girls, I was fat. And look what happened. If you work hard, you can become Miss America too. And my brothers called me Blimpo. And I went to the airport, and all the rags had my picture on the front cover, and it said, Blimpo wins Miss America pageant.
Girl, you learned the lesson that you cannot be really candid.
Well, I learned that, and now I'm in the business, Terry. But I learned it.
It's your grace for others, right?
I do, but I learned early on. But you know what? I'm not giving up the fight. I still talk about it to inspire young people. I still talk about my faith. I'm one of the very few national news anchors who is free to talk about her faith. And there's something about turning 40 where I just really I just don't give a rip anymore. And And I take a lot of criticism for it.
Yes.
But I'm going to continue to stand up for what I believe in.
It really, really does. You were a prodigy, really, as a violinist as a child. You played with some of the best. Do you miss that? Is that because it can't be a part of your life. To do that, you have to make a choice. You know, you're either totally committed to that or committed to family and your business.
And that's such an important point that you bring up. And actually what happened at age 17 is that I burned out. I thought that was going to be my career. And my mom said to me, oh, please find another way in which you can use this talent. And she got the brochure in the mail about Miss America. And it said 50% of the points were based on talent. And she called me at school and she said, I found something for you to try. And I said, no way. So she's very motivational, and she encouraged me to do it. And I guess the point of my book is that life works in mysterious ways, as we know.
Isn't it curious?
And I have gone off in many different directions and accomplished different things along the way. And none of them ever came easy, Terry. I got fired the week after I got married. And my boss said to me, you'll be fine now that you have a husband.
Yeah.
That was my self-identity. And I have great empathy for anyone who has ever been fired or is still unemployed right now, and they're wondering, how am I going to get out from underneath this? And it was the toughest year of my life, and thank goodness that I had faith as my foundation to help me through.
Sometimes you're in those waiting periods, and that's what happened to you, where you wait for the phone call, the right phone call to come, and you trust that it's coming because you know you've worked for what you've accomplished. But you had to wait. There was a season of waiting after you got fired before you got what you were going to do next, and then moved on to New York. And so for people who are in that place you're talking about, sometimes the waiting is part of the process.
The waiting, and also realizing inside of yourself that you may have to take a step back to get back into the game. So when I finally took that next job, or was lucky enough to get another job, it was a step back. But in my mind, I said, thank you, Lord, for giving me this opportunity, and I'm going to work triply hard to make it worth my while.
That's a big message in your book, is about how hard you've worked, had to work, been willing to work, because sometimes it is, you know, you often hear in today's world where sometimes, especially younger people without jobs, will say, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. But you jumped into every door that God opened for you with both feet. The book is called Getting Real. What do you want people to know about you that they might not know, Gretchen?
I want them to know that I've also struggled, and that through my faith as my foundation, that has kept me going. And that I am the biggest proponent for women and for helping them. I think it's so important. I want to inspire young women to be anything that they want to be. My door is always open.
Well, again, I want to say the book is called Getting Real. It releases nationwide today. Don't forget, you can catch her hosting Real Story on Fox News. It's weekday afternoons. It is wonderful to have you with us, and great to just have a minute to sit down together and
catch up. We could go on and on.
Yeah, we could. We could do a week, Gretchen, pretty easily. We're going to be back with more of the 700 Club right after this.